3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Boilermakers coming off a heartbreaking overtime loss last week to the Northwestern Wildcats in Ross-Ade Stadium. Purdue will head to the road this week, taking on the second-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes in historic Ohio Stadium in Columbus. Kickoff for that one will be at noon, and our pregame coverage will start at 11 a.m. Good evening, everybody. From walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, it is Purdue Football Live. We'll be talking in the next hour with the head coach, Ryan Walters. We've also got a couple of players with us tonight. C.J. Smith, who made his season debut last week at the wide receiver spot, will join us later, as will Will Heldt, a defensive end from Carmel, Indiana. You can follow us on Purdue Athletics. We're on the Facebook, X, and YouTube channels, so you can follow along there. And we will have the head coach when we come back. Ryan Walters joins us next on Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm George King, and this is our beautiful new arena. Robinson on the spin.
He's got a national champion team resides in West Lafayette, Indiana, as Katie does it.
Gene Katie engineers an upset of Lou Olson and the Wildcats.
Carson Edwards, he's got flirty.
First and 10, best the offense has really looked so far. It's Tibbs, this time through a tunnel and over to the sideline. He kept it, now they throw it to Tibbs, who has it on the sideline. That was Claire who came in motion. They've been looking at him on this drive to the end zone. That time, it is hauled in.
This play call, because I anticipated an RPO, maybe something.
Engineered, you can see him very vocal here, rolling out, pressure from Pate. Card steps up, deep throw, caught inside the 10, on time to Edrin again. Thanks, Mike. Now Lausch gets hit quickly in the backfield. Faked it to Maccabee. Maccabee threw a nice block, then Card rolls out. Got pressured. Oh, did he find Edrin inbounds? Ross-Ade crowd loves it. Purdue knocking on the door, wanting to tie the game. A big pile-up down in the goal line. And it's still moving! I don't believe the whistle ever blew. Maccabee just kept moving and moving everyone.
Football Live. We're live at walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. Purdue Football Live is presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans, joined by head coach Ryan Walters. And Ryan, before we get into the game last week against Northwestern, I want to start with a shout-out again to the Ross-Ade Stadium crowd, because you're coming in, haven't won a game for a while. The fans showed out. The fans were there. They stayed there, and they were into the football game the entire way. And I think they've been tremendous this season.
Yeah, they have. And we, like I said last week, we truly appreciate the support. That's what Purdue people do. You know what I mean? They show up, they show out, and cheer on the guys that are fighting for them with the the Purdue P on their chest. And we continue to work, and we're close, man. We're close. We're right there, getting ready to break through.
You started the game on offense. You started the game with a go pattern to C.J. Smith, who we've been waiting to get on the field, and everything worked out except the end. But it was great to see C.J. back on the field because he does give you a lot of different dimensions out there, and he made a tough catch later in the first quarter.
He did. I was just happy to see him healthy and being out there. He hadn't really played since December of last year, and he has been working his tail off. He had a great spring. And then, it was like the third or fourth practice in fall camp. He had a pretty significant soft tissue injury and has, really been diving into the rehab, had a setback and then kept diving into the rehab. And so to just see him being able to practice and run around and, have a smile on his face playing football was awesome. And then to see him, get in the game and play the way he did. Obviously, the jitters kind of got to him that first rep. But he is an incredible athlete, but even more so an incredible individual, and I'm glad he's a part of this team.
Well, and again, CJ will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. You got Hudson Card for the first two series. Ryan Brown ran the next two series. It looked like it was Hudson's day, and you go back and watch the film. Hudson Card played pretty well on Saturday.
He did. It was obviously this is the first time he's been able to operate, since we've made the change. And to see him sort of have fun with the different variety and be able to find different guys down the field. And he definitely showed some toughness and grit. He ended up with like 6 stitches on his chin after the game, and so just to see him perform the way he did and the guys to respond to him the way they did. Was good to see as a head coach.
He got the stitches on a play that originally had been called a personal foul, and then they rescinded that. What explanation did you get down on the sidelines on that?
I don't know. I don't want to get fined, man.
I understand. Christmas is coming up. Let's save those for the presents. But he's, I think Hudson Card has shown us the last couple of years. He's got some toughness to him.
He does.
He stood in there.
He does. He's a football guy. He's a tough individual and likes to go compete, and I'm looking forward to watching him compete on Saturday.
All right, Northwestern jumped out to a 17-3 lead, but you got a touchdown. I thought it was a big touchdown right at the end of the first half to give us some momentum heading into the locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. There was that fourth down, on sort of our side of the 50 with roughly 8 minutes and some change left on the clock, and felt like if we punted it, and Northwestern's offense, they're very methodical. They eat up a lot of clock, and if they went down and scored, then we would have no time going into halftime to go score, and we'd be down 2 scores, and then they got the ball back.
Right.
And so felt like going for it there. So worst case scenario, if they do score, at least you get a chance to have the ball go score, and now you're down 1 score going into halftime. And that's how it kind of played out. And so I was happy that we were able to get down there and make it a 1-score game going into halftime.
And then you traded field goals before your team tied the game up 20-20, and you had an opportunity. You had the ball with a couple of minutes left. Unfortunately, that sack on first down, that really set you behind the chains.
No question. Definitely would have liked to be able to move the ball at that moment. But just, a couple plays away, man, a couple plays away.
Then you go into overtime. They win the coin toss, and they decide to go on defense, which is what most teams decide to do. And you had a decision to make. You're 4th and 6. You decided to go for it, and you said part of that was because Spencer has struggled sometimes this year from the right hash mark.
Yeah, he has, and he has kicked a bunch of right hash mark kicks this week in practice. I just felt like, I always want to go for the win. You know what I mean? We haven't won a game in a while. I trust our guys to go make plays, and we were 1 play away. Just like we were in the Illinois game. So, like I said, we're right there. We're close. I got all the confidence in the world in these guys because of the way they continue to work, the way they continue to fight, and the way they continue to stick together. And so, I'm looking forward to this Saturday and looking forward to the future.
Every loss is disappointing and frustrating. When you lose one like that, is it more disappointing than maybe a one that's more one-sided? Do they feel differently in the locker room?
Yeah, they definitely feel like it felt different than it did, after Wisconsin, right? Yeah. After Wisconsin, you're angry, and after an Illinois or a Northwestern, you're disappointed, and you're disappointed because of the amount of work and effort and pride the locker room has taken into diving into the process. And so you want you want them to have success. You want them to see the improvement. You want them to, feel the joy of winning, and because of the hard work that they put in. And so, as a head coach, I got to continue to be the steady through the storm. Continue to point out areas where we can improve and provide solutions, so that they continue to stay motivated into diving into the process of improving. And they, to their credit, they have. I'm extremely grateful for all those guys in the locker room and the way that they've approached their work, and I'm excited for Saturday and the rest of the season.
All right, talking with Ryan Walters, this is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Kaufman-Renn with the rebound off the Owen D. Smith, and a quick push up the floor to Lawyer for three.
Braden Smith saw him the entire.
There's Deese. Tipped away at Smith, who got a hand on it. He'll start it up the floor, drops it off in transition, and a finish for. 5 to shoot. Smith finds Kaufman-Renn all alone for three.
12 or 13 rebounds that were sucked up by Zach Edey last year.
Here's Kaufman-Renn with the skip. Colvin feeling it early, and that's why. Active hands for the Islanders defense. 6 to shoot. The skip to Colvin. Hot hand again. Colvin with an emphatic dunk. The rejection inside, and Colvin with a finish. There's Berg, the handoff to Smith. Lob underneath, and Berg gathers and throws it off the left side of the rim with the Islanders.
You'd love to see him just be able to flush this on the lob, but if you didn't feel good about it, you come back down.
Here's Lawyer. The lob underneath and the flush.
Fletcher Lawyer on the dribble drive, and you see those two Islander guards. You've got to be cracking down and make that ball skip out. It's a good look from Lawyer, but it's a defensive breakdown by Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Spin down to the post, and Clark. Jacobson with the rejection.
Braden Smith, though, every time, if he should pass, he's passed. If he should shoot, he's shot. And right there, right on.
Williams trying to split. Kaufman-Renn with a takeaway. Here comes Smith.
Give Corpus Christi, though, a lot of credit. They came in here shorthanded, and they really.
The 2024 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. This is Purdue Football Live, coming to you from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. A little bit different situation next week. The show will air on all of our radio stations statewide at the same time at 6:05, but actually we're going to pre-tape next week's show. So if you want to come and watch Walk-Ons, it'll be Thursday at 1 o'clock that we'll be taping next week, Thursday at 1 for Purdue Football Live. Let's talk about Jairo Ojada, because this is a guy that I think a lot of people were interested in. He came from Franklin College, a lower-level program. 30.5 sacks, though. I mean, production is production, and we're starting to see, I think, what you saw in him to bring him here to West Lafayette.
Yeah, he's sort of been caught up to speed on the intensity and the physicality required to play at the Big Ten, right? Obviously, we saw the potential there, and he's done a great job of just continuing to work and take coaching, and he's starting to see the fruits of his labor.
As you look at guys, Ryan, whether it's in the high school ranks or you're looking in the portal, are there positions that are more difficult to project than others, or to find talent than others?
I think offensive and defensive line are hard to project because you don't know, like, strength numbers. You don't know, when you're going to, like, the Franklin College, you don't know level of competition, right? When you're evaluating transfer quarterbacks, you don't know the psyche of the individual, because the transfer portal a lot of times is like speed dating, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a small window where they can get into the portal. You got and then like it's a couple of weeks and they're on campus, right?
Yeah.
And so I think all positions are hard to evaluate because of the intangibles that are very important in the evaluation process. So you got to be very particular on what you're looking for, the type of individual you're looking for, and do they have the right skill set that matches up with the proper production required to go compete in the Big Ten.
You mentioned that it's speed dating in the portal. We talked to Katie Geralds last week on the basketball show, and she mentioned the fact that you've got to be quick. And not only do you have to build a quick relationship, you better be first or second in line because you may not get to them if you're third in line.
Right, and so that's where, I think as a football program, we have to be careful about, the amount of transfers that we take. Like in my opinion, our focus needs to be on retention. Like we know the guys in the locker room. We know what they can't do. We know how they operate, and they know how we operate and what we expect and what the standard is. So that's got to be the focus. And I still think like high school recruiting is imperative. You got to have a developmental program where you got guys for 3-4 years that grow, that learn from people that have been in your program before, and then obviously like you're going to have areas of need to supplement, and you can dive into the portal that way. But now you're looking for a specific, a specific player, a specific position, a specific need. So I still think the old ways of high school recruiting, developing your own roster, and taking care of and rewarding guys that have been in your program, that have gone about their business the right way is the way that we need to go at Purdue.
The Boilermakers again taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll talk more about the Buckeyes a little bit later on in this program. When you have a season like this, Ryan, and obviously the win-loss record not what you want, but you're looking to build for the future. You're looking for things on tape. We talked a little bit earlier. The touchdown run by Devin Mockabee was probably the most sensational one-yard run in history, and I think it showed the want-to from him. But go back and look at that play. Jamal Edrin is also blocking his guy into the end zone. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think it was, Max Clare was trying to push him, and Jamal was trying to keep him up and drive him, and Maccabee's legs are still driving. To me, that's what that play like epitomizes the grit that we're trying to pull out of this program. You look at the areas that we have improved. Like this is a young team in its entirety. We have a bunch of freshmen and sophomores that are playing against the number 1 and number 2 and number 6 and number 8 and number 20-something teams in the country. And so those guys have learned lessons throughout the season, and so I think that's why you're also seeing, the margins of error get tighter, and those guys are improving and continue to improve throughout the course of the season. And so, as frustrated as I am, as sleepless the nights have been, trying to find answers and provide, solutions to why we haven't gotten over the hump yet. I'm also equally as excited for the future because like I said, we got a bunch of young guys that are gaining valuable experience that will bode well for the future.
And I think it's important. You pointed this out last week, but a lot of the guys you brought in the portal are underclassmen. You didn't bring in a lot of one-and-done guys.
No, I mean we had a couple one-and-done guys on the offensive line, but the majority of the transfer we took were sophomores, and that was because you want to have a developmental program. You want guys that come in, learn, and then now you're ahead of the 8 ball moving forward. You talk about C.J. Smith; he's a sophomore.
Yeah.
Denila Morissette is another guy who's a sophomore, and so you look at that sophomore class with the transfers we took, and the Will Heldts and the Dylan Thienemans and the Winston Berglunds and the Jerron Tibbs. Like there's a lot of Ryan Brown as a redshirt freshman. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited about the future. I know we are in the suck right now of the growing process. but those guys have played against the best of the best in the country, and they're better for it now, and they'll be 10 times better for it in the future.
All right, we'll have more with Coach Walters in 2 minutes. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Bottom teams in the league, but this is a tough place to play, so we can't give away points. And there you per set. Gunter puts it in the air. Anderson going to Chacoin, and she's able to finish effectively off the block.
To get on top of it really quickly.
Team high 7 kills for Rohrbach, hitting 500. Here's Maryland's dream scenario with Schnitta serving, but instead off the tape.
It will be a really fun match.
And they split their 2 meetings last year. Chacoin. And that one finds a way down, and Purdue gets it done in 3.
Wheeler just checked in for Grady Eifert. Now Carson Edwards fires from 3, and the Boilers have back-to-back 3-pointers. Leading scorer from Fairfield as Carson Edwards hits another one. Going through Carson Edwards, and why not? He pulls up here, and a little kiss.
A Purdue flag flying high on game day to a black and gold tie worn to the office. That loyalty is built on precious memories. Time-honored tradition.
We've seen that all night, this Stags defense, as Carson Edwards pulls up.
Now Carson Edwards, this is his game. There's some fast break points for you, Hunter. Carson Edwards is feeling it tonight. Leaves it for Grady Eifert. Now back to Carson and Hope Bull. And he got fouled and counted. This kid is unconscious right now. The board, and now Carson Edwards.
Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. We're going to talk more about the Boilermakers in a second. We were just talking before the show, though. Probably the most stunning play I've seen in football this year in the NFL this week. Saquon Barkley leaps backward over somebody at full speed. I have never seen a human being do that in my life.
No, to have the body control and just the thought that was possible. Like I think he's the only person in the history of football that would try to do something like that and pull it off in a game. Anytime you can excite and amaze your teammates that are also in the NFL, like that's special. I think he is one of one.
I don't think that's something that even the video games allow you to do. They will next year, though. I'll tell you, they'll put the Barkley in next year.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Might just be for him, though.
Speaking of technology, we've gone to this communication system now where you've got the earphones in the helmets on both offense and defense. Now that you're 2/3 of the way through the season, how has that gone on both sides?
It's gone good. I'm in a unique experience where I was able to talk to the defense, and now I'm talking to the offense, right? And so it's I know defensively it was good just to get them quickly. The field call is this way. Watch out for this. Like, this is the formation. Here's the play. I'll just give some reminders, and then obviously this has been a unique experience now the last 3 weeks, and so being able to talk to the quarterback and give him reminders and have that sort of back and forth has been pretty neat. And obviously it helps also with being able to huddle and not have sign stealing or anything like that. So I would imagine we're going to huddle a lot on Saturday.
We have talked about the mechanics of that in the past, though. I mean, you can't talk to him during the play, and there is a time that it's shut off. So you've got to get your instructions in pretty early.
Yeah, by the 15-second mark is when it shuts off. But from an offensive perspective, that's ample time. If you ever call the play within the 15 seconds, It's it can be difficult to get lined up and get motion and get the play called. So defensively, though, if you're trying to look and see sort of what formation or what picture the offense is presenting as they break the huddle, that's where you get in trouble with the headset.
I'm just curious, as you're looking down and you're calling a play and the play is unfolding in front of you, so let's say it's a 1st and 10. As that play is unfolding, are you, even before the play ends, thinking about second down?
Yeah, absolutely. But you're also having to see, like, second and what. You know what I mean? You have an idea of what you want to get to if you end up with an explosive play, or what you want to get to if you have a negative yardage play, and that just all comes from film study and tendency studies throughout the course of the week. And then, on third downs, it's the same. Like, what is the down and distance? What have you already called?
Right.
What looked good during the week? What do you anticipate them being in defensively? All those things kind of go into account.
All right, we're going to give the coach a break. When we come back, we'll have C.J. Smith on Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Miller just checked in for Grady Eifert. Now Carson Edwards fires from 3, and the Boilers have back-to-back three-pointers. Leading scorer from Fairfield as Carson Edwards hits another one. Going through Carson Edwards, and why not? He pulls up here, and a little kiss off the glass, Hunter. What a bucket from C. Boogie. Instead, he sets the offense.
We've seen that all night, this Stags defense, as Carson Edwards pulls up.
And now Carson Edwards, this is his game. There's some fast break points for you, Hunter. Carson Edwards is feeling it tonight. Leaves it for Grady Eifert. Now back to Carson, and he'll pull. Andy got fouled, and count it. This kid is unconscious right now. The board, and now Carson Edwards pushing, and he's going to fire and nail it. Out of body is Carson Edwards right now. 25 looking, and Carson Edwards firing, and you know it. Carson Edwards, he's got 30.
The Pittsburgh Steelers came in here, Coach Knoll and his staff, to work out Mike Pruitt.
Okay.
And somebody was supposed to throw to him, and they didn't show. And I was just up playing basketball in the old field house upstairs, and somebody ran up.
Bottom teams in the league, but this is a tough place to play. Said we can't give away points, and there you per set. Gunter puts it in the air. Anderson going to Chicoine, and she's able to finish effectively off the block.
To get on top of it really quickly.
Team high 7 kills for Rohrbach, hitting 500. Here's Maryland's dream scenario with Schnitta serving, but instead off the tape.
It will be a really fun match.
And they split their 2 meetings last year. Chicoine. And that one finds a way down, and Purdue gets it done in 3.
Office, to the field, to the arena. We value hard work and perseverance as much as you do. Experience
10 seconds
on heart and grit.
I'm George King, and this is our beautiful new arena.
Robinson on the spin. He's got it.
Feature where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler made. George Karloftis, who has picked up the nickname Furious George as a defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs, had 4 tackles and 3 solos in the win over Tampa Bay. Tyrone Tracy Jr. from the New York Giants had 16 carries, 66 yards, and a loss to Washington. And Raheem Mostert, playing for the Miami Dolphins, 10 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown in a loss to the Buffalo Bills. Raheem Mostert was one of the fastest guys in the Big Ten when he was here. We have one of the fastest guys in the Big Ten right now in C.J. Smith, who is a sophomore from Apopka, Florida. Where in the state of Florida is that?
It's about north of Orlando.
So the cold weather that we're going to get here in the next few weeks, you haven't had a whole lot of that, right?
No, I experienced it in January. That was about it.
Yeah, see, we got you a little bit accustomed to it, right? You went well, first let's talk about your high school career. You ran the fastest 100-meter in Florida in 2020-21 season. Florida has a lot of fast people. When you are the fastest, and what your time was 10.5, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did that speed come? Is that a natural thing? When did it come about?
I would say when I was little. I think my first sport was soccer, and one thing my dad always told me, he was like, I wouldn't even try to go for the ball. I would just let people get the ball, and I would go chase them down to go get the ball back.
So the speed came in early, and really useful early on, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You were a Class 2A state champion in the 100 and 200 meter.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Florida has a lot of fast people in it. This guy won a couple of state championships. Talk about your decision. You go to Georgia, one of the premier football programs in the country, play there a couple of seasons, and then came to Purdue. Well, what made you decide to come up to West Lafayette?
Just the whole atmosphere, like the coaching staff, like Coach Walters, and I was like, I just love the atmosphere here.
You were number 18 at Georgia, correct? Mm-hmm. You were number 9 at Purdue. That's half of 18. Is that a coincidence or is that on purpose?
No, I wore 9 in high school, and
okay.
That's kind of like my second favorite number.
So basically, you couldn't get 9 at Georgia. Is that the deal? And then you had to take something else. So and numbers are kind of they're a personal thing. I mean, some guys it's lucky, but some guys it really means something personal to them.
Yes, sir.
Right? So the number 9. You came up here. You had an injury in training camp. You've had some injuries before. Did you know right away that this was going to keep you out for a while?
I didn't. The whole plan was for me to be out maybe like 3-4 weeks, and I tried to come back, and it just didn't work out.
And the thing about a guy with speed, a hamstring injury is one of the worst you can have because those are really, really hard to heal. And if you go too quickly, you have a setback. Yeah. You had a setback before the Oregon State game.
I did.
Yeah, and so how long did it take then to get back to where you were before you were almost ready to get back to the field?
I would say the week before the Oregon week.
Yeah.
I was feeling great that week, and then that game was kind of just a game day decision throughout warm-ups just to see how I felt.
All right, so when you went on the field last Saturday to warm up and you knew you were going to play, did you get the butterflies back? It's been a little while since you played.
It's been a while.
And unfortunately, this first play didn't work out, but you made up for it a little bit later on. The quarter made a contested catch. How did you feel you played in the first game, and what can you get better at here in weeks 2 and going forward?
I feel like I didn't play to the best of my abilities, but that only means that I can only grow from here. Like, I feel I could just be better.
You are a Southern kid growing up. You played your first couple of years in college. What has acclimation? Well, you mentioned you were here in January. What's been the hardest thing to get used to in Indiana and in the cold weather?
I would say like the weather, just being cold. Like I've never played in the snow. I probably seen snow one time before I came up here, so that was new.
Did you have the right jackets and right sweat and enough clothes? No. See, that's you talk to guys and you got to make this. You got to make this part of the recruiting thing. When you come up here, make sure you bring your heavy jackets up there too. Let's talk about these last 4 games. You got a chance to go in and play in Ohio Stadium. I mean, you know, Ohio State's one of the premier programs in the country. This is one of the great venues. I would think you've really got to be excited to have the competition that you have here the last 4 weeks to see where you can prove your abilities.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm excited. Every chance I get, give it 110%.
The biggest thing for a wide receiver is to get good timing with your quarterback. How did you and Hudson Card, and now Ryan Brown is getting some time too, but how did you and Hudson adapt during the summer to basically get your timing down?
Just on and off, go balls, quick, just quick little check down routes and all that. We on and off, we got it done.
Well, CJ, we're glad that you're healthy. We're glad to see you back on the field. Stay healthy, and let's see you get a few big catches here in the last 4 weeks.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
All right, we're going to talk with Will Heldt when we come back. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Kaufman Wren with the rebound off the Owen D. Smith, and a quick push up the floor to Lawyer for 3.
Braden Smith saw him the entire.
There's Deese. Tipped away at Smith, who got a hand on it. He'll start it up the floor, drops it off in transition, and a finish for. 5 to shoot. Smith finds Kaufman Wren all alone for 3.
12 or 13 rebounds that were sucked up by Zach Edey last year.
Kaufman red. With the skip, Colvin feeling it early, and that's why. Active hands for the Islanders defense. 6 to shoot. The skip to Colvin. Hot hand again. Colvin with an emphatic dunk. The rejection inside, and Colvin with a finish. There's Berg, the handoff to Smith. Lob underneath, and Berg gathers and throws it off the left side of the rim with the Islanders.
You'd love to see him just be able to flush this on the lob, but if you didn't feel good about it, you come back down.
Here's Lawyer. The lob underneath and the flush.
Fletcher Lawyer on the dribble drive, and you see those two Islander guards. You've got to be cracking down and make that ball skip out. It's a good look from Lawyer, but it's a defensive breakdown by Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Spin down to the post and Clark. Jacobson with the rejection.
Braden Smith, though, every time, if he should pass, he's passed. If he should shoot, he's shot it. And right there, right on.
Williams trying to split. Kaufman-Renn with a takeaway. Here comes Smith.
Give Corpus Christi, though, a lot of credit. They came in here shorthanded, and they really battled Purdue.
Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Thanks to folks from Mishawaka and Los Altos and Cumberland, Indiana, and Swamico, Wisconsin for tuning in today on Facebook. We appreciate you being with us. Again, the Boilermakers in Ohio State will kick off at noon this Saturday. The Boilermakers' final home game will be against Penn State. That's a week from Saturday. That's going to be a 3:30 kickoff. Will Heldt is with us. Will is a sophomore end from Carmel. Let's talk first about what brought you here to West Lafayette. Part of it, obviously the football, but also part of it is you're a finance major in the Mitch Daniels School of Business. How have classes gone here these first couple of years?
You know, they're going really well. Got a big course load this semester, but, you know, getting through it.
Why business? Why in finance? What made you go in that direction?
Yeah, just kind of more of a mathematical kind of thinking guy. You know, that's where my strengths lie, so that's kind of where I chose to go.
Purdue has a great tradition of defensive ends. I'm sure that was probably one of the reasons that brought you here to West Lafayette. Were you a big Boilermaker fan growing up, or did you convert into a Boilermaker fan?
You know, I kind of turned into one. Wasn't really a Purdue or IU guy growing up in Indiana, but, you know, obviously a big Purdue guy now, kind of converted into a Boilermaker.
Let's talk about this season. Again, win-loss-wise, not what you would want, but you've got a chance here in these last 4 weeks to write a different chapter to this story. And you know, Ohio Stadium is one of the great cathedrals of college football. How excited are you to go to play these last 4 games starting on Saturday?
A ton of great opponents coming up these last 4 weeks, and I mean, what more could you ask for? These are the types of games that you want to play in, and you know, got to show out in these big games.
Purdue runs a defensive set where you're called a rush end. If you can explain to people what the responsibilities, what are your biggest challenges and biggest duties on Saturdays at that rush end position?
Yes, sir. So the rush end in this sort of defense is more of a dynamic guy. You have to be able to rush the passer, stop the run, and be able to drop into coverage. So, you know, having to think through that within your mind, and also, you know, being able to execute and get that job done.
I talked to Coach Walters a little bit earlier about the fan support. It has been amazing this year. In the 5 games we've had, you look around and you go back to last Saturday. I mean, it was a pretty full house against Northwestern on a beautiful day, but you've got to be happy with the way, especially your fellow students have come out and supported you.
Yeah, no doubt. The community and the fan base here is unbelievable. You know, they pack the house in Ross-Ade, you know, week in and week out.
Did you have a favorite football player growing up or a favorite team?
Colts fan through and through.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So you go to a lot of Colts games?
Yeah, been to a ton. We had season tickets growing up, so, you know, was there most Sundays.
Was there a particular player that you pattern your game against or that you like to follow, either on the Colts or on somebody else?
In the league right now, I would say Aiden Hutchinson is a guy that I look at. I know it's terrible that he got hurt, but, you know, unbelievable player. I feel like we have a similar skill set, you know, and being able to replicate the amazing things that he does is great.
All right, as you look well toward this offseason, what are the things that you'll want to do to get better for your junior and senior years? Where do you think you can make the most improvements right now?
Yeah, I think continuing to get in the weight room, bigger, faster, stronger is going to be a big thing, you know, and then just, you know, continuing to shape my mind and, you know, dial in on those little techniques.
You talk about getting bigger and stronger. Where are you right now compared to when you came in? Because you've put a lot of muscle on since you came to West Lafayette.
Yeah, coming in early definitely helped a lot with that. I kind of got here around 6'6", 240, and now I'm up about 20 pounds and maybe half an inch of height. Walt and I were just talking about that. But yeah, I've been able to build myself a lot so far.
What would be the optimal? Are you right now what you think your optimal weight is, or do you need to put more muscle on?
Yeah,
or weight.
I think you can always put a little bit more on. You know, continuing to grow the muscle. Hopefully, maybe 5 to 10 more.
Let's talk about again this last 4 games coming up. We talked about the fact that you're playing 3 teams that are ranked in the top 8 in the college football playoff rankings. It's a great opportunity to make a statement again and show what Purdue football is all about.
Yeah, of course. We're excited and we're ready for the challenge, and you know, it's a great opportunity. What more could you ask for?
Well, Will, first of all, good luck on the field. Good luck with final exams coming up in the finance area, and we look forward to seeing an even better Ryan Heldt in 2025.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Will Heldt in 2025. We'll have Ryan Walters back with us when we come back. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Bottom teams in the league, but this is a tough place to play, so we can't give away points. And there you per set. Gunter puts it in the air. Anderson going to Chacoin, and she's able to finish effectively off the block.
To get on top of it really quickly.
Team high 7 kills for Rohrbach, hitting 500. Here's Maryland's dream scenario with Schnitta serving, but instead off the tape.
It will be a really fun match.
And they split their 2 meetings last year. Chacoin. And that one finds a way down, and Purdue gets it done in 3.
I'm George King, and this is our beautiful new arena.
Robinson on the spin.
The national champion team resides in West Lafayette, Indiana, as Katie does it.
Gene Katie engineers an upset of Lou Olson and the Wildcats. Carson Edwards, he's got flirty.
First and 10, best the offense has really looked so far. It's Tibbs, this time through a tunnel and over to the sideline. They kept it, now they throw it to Tibbs, who has it on the sideline. That was Claire who came in motion. They've been looking at him on this drive to the end zone. That time, it is...
Purdue Football Live is presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. Boilermakers taking on Ohio State again. Purdue Football Live will be on these same radio stations next Thursday at the normal time at 6:05, but we'll be taping it earlier. So if you want to come to walk-ons and watch it in person or follow us on social media, that'll be next Thursday at 1 o'clock. Talking to Will Heldt, he's a guy that looks bigger and better, and you have a feeling certainly his best football is still in front of him.
Absolutely. You know, I feel like he's still growing. Like, I'm just talking to him today and standing up, and I'm like, dude, you're taller than when you got here. I don't know how that's possible, but, you know, he's still maturing. You know, he still looks like a kid that's in a grown man's body. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, he is what you want in the locker room, and just in terms of his demeanor, his work ethic, and his focus. He is mature behind his years. His parents are also in the crowd, and so he comes from good lineage.
And they're happy somebody else is feeding him tonight, because I'm sure he went through a lot. That's the biggest applause I've gotten all night. You're going into Columbus Saturday, and Ohio State fans are a different breed. And I'll tell you, really, this is a true story. A few years ago, we're riding in on the team buses, and this, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. And you come in, we've got 4 or 5 buses, and you have the people who are the people helping out. And there was an old woman, probably looked like my grandma, probably in her 70s or 80s, and she's telling us where to go. And you're thinking, okay, that's nice. She flips off the bus. I swear that is a true story. The grandmotherly parking attendant flipped off the bus, and I thought, we are definitely in Columbus. That's what the fan. I mean, it's a rabid fan base.
I mean, that's the atmospheres that you like to play in. You know, as a competitor, you want that pressure, you want that atmosphere, you want that energy, and so we're excited to go play.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Buckeyes, and you can go position by position, but the one thing we know offensively, they have such great explosive talent. You've got to keep them in front of you as much as you can defensively.
Absolutely, they're very, very talented. They arguably have one of, if not the best rosters in the country, and you couple that with the history and tradition at Ohio State and the expertise of the staff there. They got a good football team. There's a reason why they're the number 2 team in the country right now. And so, obviously we'll have our work cut out for us, but there's also a reason why you tip off or why you kick off the ball on game days. And so we're excited to go compete.
Probably a good time to point out that 4 times in the history of Purdue football, they have beaten top 5 Ohio State football teams. So there is a precedent for this, and hopefully this will be number 5 on Saturday. But either way, competing. I think competing is what you want to see from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to win, and in order to do so, you have to compete from start to finish.
Defensively, they've got, again, we could go position by position, a lot of talent, but they're a really aggressive defense and really cause havoc, I think, for a lot of offenses.
Yeah, they haven't given up a whole lot of points in the end zone this season, and there's a reason why. They're well coached, they've got a lot of talent, they got a lot of depth, and so we're going to have to be aggressive, have to be smart with the football, and ultimately have to make plays.
We've talked about the need or the hope to try to get off to quick starts. This is another place you cannot let them get on a quick start, because if they get up 14-21-0 early, that crowd really gets into the game.
Yeah, that has been a point of emphasis, obviously, and so we'll see how it goes. But I'm confident in our guys. I'm confident with the plan, and like I said, we're excited to go to Columbus and play at a great venue against a great team and a well-coached staff.
And by the way, a knock on wood as we say this, looks like we're going to have another Saturday of great weather. It looks like perfect football weather in the low 60s.
I know, Midwest in November. Who knew, right?
Who knew? All right, final segment of Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union, is coming up on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Kaufman-Renn with the rebound off the Owen D. Smith, and a quick push up the floor to Lawyer for 3.
Braden Smith saw him the entire.
There's Deese. Tipped away at Smith, who got a hand on it. He'll start it up the floor, drops it off in transition, and the finish for. 5 to shoot. Smith finds Kaufman-Renn all alone for 3.
12 or 13 rebounds that were sucked up by Zach Edey last year.
Kaufman-Renn with the skip. Colvin feeling it early, and that's why. Active hands for this Islanders defense. 6 to shoot. The skip to Colvin. A hand again. Colvin with an emphatic dunk. The rejection inside, and Colvin with a finish. There's Berg, the handoff to Smith. Underneath, and Berg gathers and throws it off the left side of the rim with the Islanders.
You'd love to see him just be able to flush this on the lob, but if you didn't feel good about it, you come back down.
There's Lawyer. The lob underneath and the flush.
Fletcher Lawyer on the dribble drive, and you see those 2 Islander guards. You've got to be cracking down and make that ball skip out. It's a good look from Lawyer, but it's a defensive breakdown by Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Spin down to the post and Clark. Jacobson with the rejection.
Braden Smith, though, every time, if he should pass, he's passed. If he should shoot, he's shot. And right there, right on.
Williams trying to split. Kaufman-Renn with a takeaway. Here comes Smith.
Give Corpus Christi, though, a lot of credit. They came in here shorthanded, and they really battled Purdue.
Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. We had a question on Facebook a little bit earlier about Ryan Brown, whether he would play, and I think certainly he's still in the game plan, but Hudson Card, I think, has solidified himself as at least for the time being the #1 quarterback.
Yeah, you know, I love both of those guys, and both of those guys are tremendous quarterbacks, and the future with Ryan, it looks bright, and I, you know, can't wait to get him going. You know what I mean? He's only a redshirt freshman, and you know, when he's been in there, he's played really well. You know, and Hudson got a chance to go last week, and you know, he was graded the highest in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? And so, whoever provides us the best chance to win, like, they'll be out there. Both of them will be ready, and both of them support one another and want to win as well. And so, and I've been really proud of the way they both prepared as though both of them are starting. And it just sucks that there's only one quarterback on the field at a time. You know what I mean? So.
It's a tough time of the season sometimes for players that don't get a lot of playing time. So how do you keep the guys that maybe, whether they're redshirting this year or not getting as much playing time, and keep them up and keep them prepared so that if their number is called, they're ready to go?
Yeah, you know, you just, the way you operate and the way you practice, you always have a standard, and no matter what is going on, you don't let that standard slip. And so that, you know, if somebody is dipping below that standard, they stick out. And you know, we do have a good group of guys that hold each other accountable on the team. So we haven't really seen any of that, you know, regardless of the situation that we're in right now. So definitely been proud of that in terms of the culture in the locker room.
Max Clare is another player we've talked about a lot this season. Unfortunate that Hudson didn't have a little bit more time on that throw early in the ball game because Max was wide open. But again, he's really a big part of your offense. And again, you feel like with Max Clare, the best is still yet to come.
Absolutely, another guy that's a redshirt sophomore. You know what I mean? And I think just because of the way he plays, people forget that. Like, this is his only second year playing. And you know, what a tremendous dude. Like, his family is awesome. He is consistent every day in terms of his demeanor and his work ethic. He enjoys the game of football. He has fun playing, and because of that, it's fun watching him.
Ryan, I know you're a very competitive person. These last few weeks have been hard. How have you tried to manage yourself and keep yourself going in what, you know, right now is a pretty difficult time?
Yeah, you know, especially right after games, it is tough. Like, I am human, right? And so when you lose a game, you know, you see the disappointment in the loss in the locker room. You know, you hear the fans' displeasure as well. You know, after game days like that you notice it. But my job and my responsibility is to the young men in the locker room, and so that is what keeps me level-headed. It's what keeps me poised. And it's what keeps me, you know, relentlessly pursuing progress and success. And obviously, like, you know, individually, I'm competitive as all get out, and so that's also a driving force in terms of preparing and trying to come up with different ideas and all of those things. And so, you know, the situation we're in, I'm just responding the way I feel like is appropriate to respond in order to give our guys a chance to win on Saturdays.
Book's not over till the last page is done. Good luck writing a couple of good chapters before the end of the season.
Can't wait. Boiler up.
All right, the Boilermakers against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Saturday. We'll have it at 11 a.m. with kickoff at 12 o'clock as Purdue looks to take on the #2 team in the country. We want to thank Wes Scott, our engineer, Hunter Stunkel, our producer, and McCarty Cummings on video. Thanks to the head coach, Ryan Walters, C.J. Smith, and Will Holt joining us as well. Don't forget, the Boilermakers will be back here at Walk-Ons for another edition of Purdue Football Live next week at 6:05. Good night, everybody.